This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and I'm going to do my weekly review of Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. The points I find interesting in it, there's a lot I don't find interesting that I won't report on. Now, I did do an interview with WWE Hall of Famer Coco Beware earlier today, and I did like that interview. I would suggest people check it out. It's posted on the Hannibal TV's YouTube channel right now, and it will be on our the Hannibal TV Facebook page later. And around 11 p.m. tonight, I'm doing another interview with Glacier. So in between now and then, I'm going to do a back workout. I already did chest and abs earlier today. Let me jump into the Observer. It's mentioned that Scott Hall's heart attack on March 13th led to 2 million searches, which made it the most searched topic on the internet that day. And then the next day, there was another 2 million searches regarding Scott Hall. And Meltzer points out nothing in pro wrestling has had that level of interest for many years. Gable Stevenson, who recently won his second NCAA heavyweight wrestling championship and is being under some sort of WWE sponsorship agreement, is going to be at Wrestlemania and thinks he's going to be a Raw regular. I guess he does have 1 year left of eligibility. However, it's unknown whether he's going to take that or just go into pro wrestling. Apparently, WWE has a new broadcast partnership for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the Middle East. Now, when I interviewed Hugo Savinovich a few weeks ago, he said, and of course, he was a longtime WWE Spanish announcer with lots of contacts in WWE, and he follows the news, runs Lucha Libre Online, the news site that's extremely popular for Spanish-speaking people. He believes that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will actually buy the WWE. As far as ratings go, Dynamite this week did 0.41 rating, taped in Cedar Park, Texas, and they drew what they said was a sellout of 4,400 with 4,200 paid. And Meltzer notes last time they were in the same arena, they said it was a sellout with 4,700. So they opened 300 less seats for sellout this time. So that's one thing in the modern era that is different than like in the old era. When you used to say it was a sellout, it was a sellout. Now it's like if we blocked off half the arena or 3/4 of the arena, we'll say it's a sellout according to the amount of seats that aren't blacked out rather than the percentage of the arena seats that are full. So I always find that, like, why it's not a real sellout to me if you're not using the maximum number of seats. But I'm not saying that's not a bad crowd for wrestling in 2022. Raw did a 0.5 rating this week and had 7,500 paid with 8,726 in the building. Rampage, they never seem to report the numbers for Rampage as far as attendance, but it did a 0.13 rating, which was lower than NXT, which did a 0.14. SmackDown did a 0.58 rating from Charlotte. They had 7,000 paid with 8,078 fans in the building. And the Young Rock, which I interviewed a guy this week that plays the Iron Sheik on the Young Rock, did a 0.42 rating. So that's not too bad. It also came out this week that Mike Tyson's 2.0 cannabis brand has bought majority interest in Ric Flair Drip Inc., Ric Flair's company, and they're going to collaborate on some new cannabis products. Deadline has reported that Brandy Rhodes is partnering with Diga Stories to move her YouTube show to TV. And Cody Rhodes is also in talks of getting a television project started. Supposedly, it's still going to be Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, and Cody Rhodes has signed some sort of deal with WWE. However, it doesn't appear he's going to be used until WrestleMania. And, there was an interview with Al Snow and Nova on Rick Bassman and Butterbean's podcast on my channel this week, where Nova was talking about what wrestling is today. And this piece of news reminds me of that, because Nova said what wrestling has become is the fans that are left watching it. It's not really that many mainstream fans, and the people that watch it now watch it to appreciate the wrestler's athletic ability. They don't really buy into it. They don't care about heels or faces. And they just like it for the quote-unquote sport aspect. And WrestleCon in Dallas is giving a $5,000 prize to whoever has the quote-unquote best match on their show May the 1st. So the fans are going to get to vote what the best match is as far as the most entertaining match. So again, people aren't watching it because they want to see the bad guy get beat, or the feud between Savage and Hogan, or Hogan and Andre, or Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior that we all grew up wanting to see. The people that left that still care about it, which aren't me, I just follow the news, are watching it because they like the gymnastics and the fake MMA. And the bad comedy, the horrible comedy. Pepper Martin, who was 85 years old and a legend in wrestling and did some acting, passed away March 18th at the age of 85. He was in the original Walking Tall in 1973, the original Longest Yard in 74, Superman 2 in 1980, Scream in 1981, and a bunch of other movies he had been in. Hospice care for a month with advanced lung cancer. And of course, I already reported it earlier today, but Triple H is also had his heart issues, and he now has a defibrillator, so he won't be wrestling again. However, he's back working for WWE behind the scenes. Apparently, all Ring of Honor employees that were remaining have been let go by Sinclair, including their longtime booker, Delirious, who was a horrible booker, in my opinion. One of their issues was they kept the same guy booking for all those years. In UFC news, Hugo Savinovich and Alberto Del Rio have been hired as Spanish announcers. On March 21st, George Masvidal allegedly attacked Colby Covington and is facing charges of aggravated battery resulting in great bodily harm and criminal mischief. The alleged incident took place days after Covington had dominated Masvidal to win a decision UFC main event in Las Vegas. After losing, Masvidal had threatened Covington in the post-fight press conference. The confrontation took place in Miami outside Poppy's Steakhouse. Police were called at 10:54 p.m. And Masvidal was brought in 2 days later and charged. And he had to post a $15,000 bond to get out. Apparently, Covington was leaving the steakhouse when Masvidal ran up to him and punched him twice in the face, once in the mouth, the other near his left eye. And the victim, Covington, also said there was 3 or more unknown males with Masvidal, and he suffered a broken left front tooth, an abrasion on the left wrist. He knew it was Masvidal. Covington also claimed that his $90,000 Rolex was damaged and needs $15,000 worth of repairs. I guess there is security camera footage the police obtained for this. Masvidal just signed a new long-term contract with UFC. It's unknown whether this will affect them or not going forward. Chael Sonnen was also charged on 11 counts of after like an alleged confrontation back on December 18th at the Lux Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Apparently, according to the police report, Sonnen choked out a man, punched another, possibly struck a woman, kneed another in the head during the incident. He was taken away in handcuffs, but the case was thrown out of by the judge in January. However, more charges were filed this past week related to felony battery by strangulation and 10 misdemeanor battery charges involving Sonnen allegedly roughing up the other men and the women. Of course, Sonnen does great on YouTube. I respect him as a YouTuber. Respect him as a fighter. Of course, if you watch the Vader Raw shoot interview that I did with Vader that I released in the last years of his life, Vader didn't get along too well with Sonnen. I didn't really know much about Sonnen when I did that interview with Vader. I'm sure I haven't heard his side of the story, but he seems like a pretty intelligent guy. I'm sure there was reasons behind that. So on that note, I'm going back to the gym. Have a great night. Watch my Coco Beware interview and the Glacier one if you're around 11 p.m. tonight. It's going to be live, and I will take fan questions. Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video. Then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at The Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos. And while you're at it, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Hannibal TV.